So, Dick Cheney, Dick Cheney, deceased, the architect to the war on terror, who's led us into this nightmare that we're in, both socially, economically, internationally, politically, psychologically. We are scarred by the decisions that he helped guide Bush Jr. into making, and thus in turn we are all dealing with the consequences and repercussions. And it's amazing how time changes, because I remember when I was in high school, when the Bush administration got into office, and everyone was saying, oh, George Bush Jr. and Dick Cheney, they're the devils, they're the tyrants. And then as time progressed, as the years went on, Autobots transform and roll out. Boy, oh boy, Bush Jr., he was healed. He would hang out with Michelle Obama and have a photo op and get hugged by her. People said that he was great now. And because he had this mean Mr. Trump, all of a sudden, Bush Jr. is an angel, a little baby who did nothing wrong except lead us in the war on terror that we're still dealing with the fallout of today, that is still carried on by Democrat and Republican lawmakers, both in the U.S. Senate, House, and get this, the office of President of these, you won't believe it, the United States of America. And in turn, even Dick Cheney got a redemption arc, which, by the way, not to be that guy, but mark my words, because I don't know how long I have on this world. I don't know how long we're going to have this wonderful platform and shows and everything else in between, but mark my words, Donald Trump will also have his redemption arc. There'll be some kind of show very similar to Ellen DeGeneres where Trump shows up and he's doing a little dance, and there's going to be some Republican contender running, and Trump's going to be like, that guy, hold on, that guy, he's really mean. He says a lot of mean things. People said I said mean things, but this guy says a lot of mean things. And you're going to have the audience clapping like little seals. Look, if they did that for Bush and Cheney, they're going to do that for Trump. Trust me, it's going to happen. And you'll remember these words, and my God, Kit was right. But it's okay, because we're going to time travel. Because we're going to remember a point in time when all the Democrats used to call Cheney the devil. The devil. The devil. The devil.
I actually have the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney.
Kamala Harris is a Dick Cheney Democrat. Remember when Democrats used to call him this? Because that was his redemption arc. He endorsed Kamala. Remember this? Hold on, I gotta mute this because copyright. Like, you got the old there you go. Look, let's see if we can actually get hold on. So the bright music is playing. And of course, Dick, we never got along. Correct. You're a warmonger. And you were a commie. Surprising to be on the same side as you. Surprising to me too. I'm still on the left. I'm still on the right. We can agree on Trump. It means something big. Bigger than policy. Bigger than ideology. We are both voting for Kamala Harris. Bernie and Cheney. Yeah, this was done by the Lincoln Project. I had to mute the music. I had to mute the sound because, again, copyright music, right, is being played. But, hey, that was Cheney's redemption arc. That was Cheney's redemption arc. And the Lincoln Project was more than happy to do that for Cheney. But yet, just a quick reminder that this happened.
I actually have the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney.
Dick Cheney and Satan. That's next.
The Sith Lord is back.
Like a demon, it rises again.
The devil. Cheney's the devil.
Dick Cheney, Darth Vader, Satan.
Thank you to Satan for giving me inspiration on how to play this role.
We don't need Dick Cheney.
Dick Cheney was dangerous. That war.
The only thing you got to do is just be better than Dick Cheney.
I like to see Dick Cheney exposed. He's a liar.
I actually have the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney.
You were part of the Dick Cheney cult that led to hundreds of thousands of innocent Iraqis being killed because of the cult you were in.
Cheney dishonestly made up the idea they had nuclear weapons, just lied. Why do they want these wars? What is it that they don't like somebody because they don't like the look of their face?
Irrelevant national embarrassments Dick Cheney.
Oh, there's the Kyle we remember. I remember you, buddy. Before the blonde hair demon took control of your soul.
And Liz Cheney.
I'm old enough to remember Dick Cheney driving over to the CIA to look over their shoulders to make sure they gave him the intel that he wanted so as to justify the Iraq war.
I actually have the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney.
No apologies, no regrets from former Vice President Dick Cheney for the harsh CIA interrogation techniques.
Under Dick Cheney's tutelage, we got the photographs at Abu Ghraib.
The former vice president, at one point, signing a waterboard kit.
Cheney, of course, unrepentant. You know what? Go to hell.
I want to talk about a man rotten to his very core, which is in itself a tiny black hole from which no joy or light can escape. The ancient Coptics knew this man as Unhohotek, the Dark One, the jagged-toothed forest demon who steals our children. We know him as former Vice President Dick Cheney.
I actually.
Who had, again, because of the Mamala Kamala fans, they thought getting an endorsement from Dick Cheney was a flex. Even Trump there, as soon as he heard it.
Actually have the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney.
And see, even Trump's like, that's not a flex. That ain't no flex.
What do you think of Dick Cheney? And people would say, well, I hate everything he stands for.
I am someone fundamentally opposed to the politics of Liz Cheney and her father, Dick Cheney. I literally started writing books in the first place more than a decade ago because I had so much to get off my chest about what I thought was wrong with the Cheney family approach to war and foreign policy.
And now you got the Trump thing. That's your bread and butter. Remember that? Remember all those Trump segments? Boy, I bet MSNBC is kind of regretting how 2020 worked out because if they did keep it, I think the mainstream media would still be doing all that stupid stuff that we saw from 2016. But because Biden won, what's causing them views went away. Like I said, Trump's first term, he was a job creator for the vote blue, no matter who, industrial, social media warrior, justice warrior, industrial complex.
That first book I ever wrote is literally dedicated to him.
Dick Cheney, profoundly dangerous.
Cheney, I think, was arrested twice.
A master manipulator like Dick Cheney, willing to say anything.
And now, as the cascade of misery and death and chaos he did so much to unleash rages anew, Mr. Cheney has the unadulterated gall to come before the country and tell us that it's all someone else's fault. You said there was no doubt Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. You said we would be greeted as liberators. You said the Iraq insurgency was in the last throes back in 2005. And you said that after our intervention, extremists would have to, quote, rethink their strategy of.
Yeah, that didn't work out too well. Here's what I think about it.
And here's what I think about it.
Thank you.
Jihad. Now, with almost $1 trillion spent there, with 4,500 American lives lost there, what do you say to those who say you were so wrong about so much at the expense of so many?
No, I just fundamentally disagree, Megan.
I actually have the endorsement.
Reagan? You mean Megan?
Of former Vice President Dick Cheney.
Cheney's the guy who told those guys to lie in the first place, you moron.
Ambassador Wilson wrote an op-ed titled, "What I Didn't Find in Africa," that exposed Vice President Cheney's use of false information to sell us a war in Iraq. A week after Wilson's op-ed was published, his wife, Valerie Plame, was outed as a covert CIA agent.
And all we did was out a CIA agent.
The criminal proclivity, power grab mentality of Dick Cheney.
And they twisted that intelligence.
I did not believe what Dick Cheney had to say. I thought that they were lying.
Vice President Dick Cheney accidentally shot a man.
Vice President Cheney's been the most dangerous vice president we've had probably in American history.
I actually have the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney.
Not a flex, Kamala. Never was, never will be. So Dick Cheney's legacy. Well, he died of natural causes. Never once was held accountable for any of the crimes or anything else that he helped contribute to the downfall of, well, what we're in right now. This is the same Dick Cheney who, was the architect of all the things that we are currently dealing with. So what's the takeaway? What is the final thought to say? It's just, I've been seeing people on social media either honoring him or celebrating his demise. I'd say more of the tragedy of this entire ordeal was his passing away is that we cannot undo what he has done to us so far, at least with the current mindset of this political environment and the inaction of us as citizens. His legacy and the decisions that the former Bush Cheney administration made will forever resonate not only through us, but for future generations to come. It has led to the continuation of man's inhumanity demand, the political greed, and corruption. The 2008 economic disaster, those who were good friends of the administration of Bush and Cheney got away with it. Those who were the architects of the war on terror got away with it. And it should leave a very bitter taste in your mouth that there was no justice. We want to really get, not revenge, but honor and justice restored. We have to start getting involved. We have to start stepping up, and we have to remember how easy it is for our institutions to become corrupt, for our institutions to be manipulated. All of this is a long-lasting impact, and how interesting it is. And I found this to be, because you know, you're going to see some content creators saying like, yes, I'm glad he's gone. I'm more of like, he's gone. Did we learn anything? What did we learn here? Some people will say, hell if I know. But the lesson is, we cannot let this happen again. If we remain inactive, if we continue to be Team Red, Team Blue, mark my words, someday soon, folks, just like how Bush Jr. and Cheney got that new character arc, becoming darlings to corporate media and everybody else, Trump will get his turn too. All these politicians do. It's a lie. It's a game. See, it's a big club and you ain't in it. And those that caused the crimes got away with it. That should anger you. And it should anger you at the current leadership and our current leaders and our current quote-unquote heroes serving in the Senate and House. Why aren't we going after the people that led us into these disasters that we're in right now? Why aren't you doing it? It's a big club. You ain't in it. R.I.P. St. George. You called it you called it decades ago. You called it decades ago, and no one listened.